Well, welcome back into the studio. So I have been kind of putting this off for a while because I have not made any decisions. So I have finally thought it through. Originally, this is my mixed media menagerie for 2022 journal. And I have been trying to figure out, originally I was going to use like this game this cardstock, or it's really even more. It's not even card. It's like chipboard. It's cardboard. It's very heavyweight as a cover for this, and soon realized that this is just too. It's too bound up on this edge, and too much going on here. It's just got this huge gator mouth. And to put a hard cover on it probably wasn't going to work very well. So I made the decision to do a soft cover. So this is out. I was originally thinking of using this Amazon. I've made a journal out of this stuff before. This is one of those mailers that have like pieces of little tabs of styrofoam between two pieces. And I think that I'm going to use this for a cover. I'm going to pull this apart. I think it would fit in here nicely. Yeah, on one side. So I'll pull this apart and then use this. But first, in order to do that, I need to unbind this up a little bit. Now I don't have a lot of room to do that, but I am going to loosen this up a little bit and then put some bookend tape on this to hold it all together. I think I want to get rid of this as well. So this is where I was going to start, and I thought, let's do this together. Let's bind menagerie, as I've been calling it, this little journal. I wasn't totally thrilled with this journal itself. It's not something I'll use again. It presented a lot of challenges though, so that was kind of fun. So as I'm loosening this up, I need to be careful not to go beyond and into any of the artwork. So I just want to kind of open this up a little bit, let it breathe, so to speak. See if I can't. It really doesn't want to let go. Be careful if you have a challenging binding like this and you're using an X-Acto blade. It can be. I always work down like this or away from my body. I know, you've heard it before, but I gotta say it. All right, well, I think that's as much as I'm gonna get it to open up at all. So the next thing is that it's really skewed, and that's not gonna change. So what I need to do is going with a soft binding will enable me to just scoop around that and kind of mask how uneven that is. I could even build this up to meet this, but with going with this binding method, I don't think we even need to go that route. So I think I'm gonna leave it at that and start there. And I don't think I've gone into any of the art. Nope. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do is I am going to cut down this. So this just kind of pulls apart from each other. So I'm gonna do that. I only need to use half of this. I love the way this paper sounds. And that will leave me the other half to use it for some other thing. Instead of fighting this, I'm just gonna cut it. All right, so this is what I'm gonna use as, and you could see in here, this is that styrofoam like little drops that are in here. They're kind of soft. It's a different than regular hard styrofoam. So yeah. Oh look, I don't even have to use this whole thing. I'm gonna give myself lots of room. Kind of. Straighten out this edge. Now, when I do bindings, I like it to be a little bit beyond the edge. So about 1/4 of an inch larger. And I want to make sure it does the expanse. So I'm going to actually measure it right up to the original. I'm not going to take a tape measure and measure this. I'm going to actually fold it around. So I need to come in to about right there and cut it down that far. And then I'm going to bring it around. And I might actually, it's not long enough really to make it nice, so I'm going to go ahead and bring it so it matches up with this end. So about right here, which is a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch beyond this back cover, because you see where it falls. This is larger than 1/4 of an inch. This is called the eyeballing technique. So that's what I'm going to do, the eyeballing technique. Okay, so now that we got that thought through, I'm going to go in and just tack up some of these edges with glue. Set this aside. And to do that, I'm gonna use some PVA glue. And I'm not gonna be precise about it. I'm just gonna kind of squeeze it in here and get in as far as I can and just get that edge kind of sealed. I don't want to go overboard. I don't know yet what I'm going to do in here. Like, what else am I going to do with this? You know, I'm not sure yet. We're gonna do that together. Okay. Just a real quick and easy glue job. I really love doing fabric covers, but I'm not quite sure if we should put fabric over this or what we should do. But I was also very torn with a thought. I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to knock this Amazon logo back a little bit, because I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to cover this in tissue. And I want to knock this logo back a little bit so it's not showing through the tissue. So I'm going to just use a little bit of gesso and just knock that black back a little bit, just so it doesn't show through. And I think I'm just gonna add a little bit of gesso, because if that gesso shows through, I want it real random. So this with my finger, I'm gonna kind of randomly have some messy white space showing. Not too worried about it, but it may show through. In this journal, I did a lot of really bright work in it. A lot of the pages I went really bright colors. So I think that the cover really needs to reflect that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some tissue. Now this is some just packaging tissue. I don't know if it's going to bleed or not. I'm not quite sure what it was. It was something I got in the mail, was wrapped in it. This was an order that came from Joggles, and it's still taped up. And I really love this pattern. I love the colors of it. So I'm thinking of using these. So we're gonna cover this, both sides, in tissue paper. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this as the base, because I have a lot of it. And then come over the top and collage in some of this. Now, we're gonna lose some of the metallic of this. It'll show through as gold, but it won't be really bright like it is now, and I'm okay with that. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. And maybe this will be the outside, and maybe this will be the inside, and on the inside I'll just use this color and not this one. So I think that's where I'm gonna get started. So first I'm gonna get this dry, and then I'll be right back. All right, I've got that all dry now. This is gonna be our outside, and I'm gonna start with the outside cover. So I am going to rip this tissue down This is gonna be my first layer. And you can see how that white will show through. And I'm okay with that. It gives it some of its character. So I'm gonna use a large chip brush. And I have in here a slurry of glue to water. It's kind of creamy consistency. And what I'm going to do is put a layer of this down on this packaging material. And I'm only going to do a little distance. I'm in Arizona, so things dry faster here. So I've learned that if I just go a little bit of the way, apply it down, and then glue another section, I do better. So I'm going to just lay this on here. And I'm okay with it being wrinkly and giving me all the yummy texture feels that, you know, I love. And I'm gonna come back a little ways beyond where I ended because I just want to make sure it all gets stuck down well. And I'm being very liberal with the glue. That's really like, that white has kind of almost made it like brighter, almost neon. All right, there we go. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring this in and just fold it over onto the inside cover. We have some challenges still to work with the inside, but we'll deal with those once we get there. Zombie stare, put me out of my misery and love me. Every waking hour, rose petals bloom. I'll see you soon, I'll see you soon. Where do we go? Oh, hush, don't let me know. Hulking buckthorns, I'm the firstborn. Motherhood, I should, maybe could turn falsehood. Women at... One of the things I really love about this is a Blick Essentials brush, the 1-inch chip brush. I really like it because it's real sturdy. It might be long bristled, but it really is pretty sturdy. So it helps me pull this tissue paper and flatten it out nicely. It's the brush I like to use when I'm dealing with collage. I'll cut this excess down a little bit. Where do we go? Summer outside, winter indoors. Oh, where do we go? Winter indoors. Okay, that's not completely dry, but it's not tacky. So now I'm gonna come in with this tissue paper and I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm going to just collage it down, start tearing and just lay it down randomly. No, also always know that if you have questions about anything I do in the videos, please feel free to comment down below, ask me your questions. I do respond to those, so. The zombie stare, put me out of my misery and love me. Every waking hour, rose petals bloom. you soon. I'll see you soon. Where do we go? Oh, hush, don't let me know. Oak and buckthorns, I'm the firstborn. Motherhood, I should, maybe could turn falsehood. Women outside, lend me a smile. Growing takes time. Oh, I don't wanna be here, half alive. The zombie stare, put me out of my misery and love me. Oh, every waking hour, rose petals bloom. I'll see you soon. I'll see you soon. Oh, summer outside, winter indoors. Where do we go? Summer outside, winter indoors. Oh, where do we go? Winter indoors. Oh, don't let me know. Summer outside, winter indoors. Cats and butterflies around my head. Summer outside, winter indoors. Where do we go? Hush, don't let me know. All right, so that's good and dry, and it's starting to get a little bit stiffer. We still want it to be pliable, but we want it to have a nice stiffness to it as well. To me, this almost looks like fabric. As I was collaging down these pieces, I would squint my eyes and blur things and see and just make sure that it didn't need to make sense, but it needed to be balanced. And so that's what I tried to do, bringing some pieces off the edges, or close to the edge, kind of overlapping some things that didn't necessarily look like they went with each other. This is like a taped piece. As I was gluing it down, I noticed there was a fold in it, and I needed to get glue in there. If I didn't, it would continually just reopen up, so I made sure I did that. So now that that is dry, I'm going to go ahead and flip it over and put the teal blue on this side. I am not going to worry about whether or not it overlaps. I kind of like the looseness of that, and I'm going to try and use some of these odd pieces, and I might even go in and just break them down a little bit more and, you know, bring them in like this and then collage them together over this. And I'm going to speed this up as well for this part of it and get this laid down. Where do we go? Hush, don't let me know. I don't want to be here, half alive. The zombie stare, put me out of my misery and love me. Every waking hour, rose petals bloom. I'll see you soon, I'll see you soon. Where do we go? Oh, hush, don't let me know. Oak and buckthorns, I'm the firstborn. Motherhood, I should, maybe could turn falsehood. Women outside, lend me a smile. Growing takes time. Oh, I don't wanna be here, half alive. The zombie stare, put me out of my misery and love me. Oh, every waking hour, rose petals bloom. I'll see you soon, I'll see you soon. Oh, summer outside, winter indoors. Where do we go? Summer outside, All right, so that's dry. So I'm gonna come in with my journal and just make sure that that's gonna work well. Kind of form it around. Now, in terms of adhering this, I don't really want to go through any of these pages to stitch it in, because nothing's gonna match and it's gonna mess with the look of it, and it's gonna be really hard to get a needle through all that. So I think that I want to attach it by these flaps. However, because it wants to move, I think that I need to leave it open at the back end, not attached back there, and only attached here. But then it won't lay flat. It'll stay kind of buckled up. So we could make a pocket, and I've done that. I did that with A Wrinkle in Time. I made a pocket for these pages to slide into. And I think that's what I'm gonna have to do, is make a pocket, which will have made all this collage work we did for naught. However, I don't want it real deep, because I need to get this in there. So I think what I'm gonna do, the other side that we had, I think that I'm gonna use that to make a pocket. And I think I'm gonna leave it in this natural color. So if we made a pocket like this, and sewed it right in here, we could then slide this in and then do the same thing on the other side, and then it will move freely as we open and close it. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this down, fold one edge over, and sew along that edge. And I've got my machine out to the side of me. So I'm gonna give myself some room there to do that. Just a bit. Now it's gonna not want to sew through this stuff here. Over here there is none of that because of the edging. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of come in here and pull some of this out along where we're gonna stitch, just so we're not like possibly damaging our needle. There we go. Okay, so I am gonna stitch down this edge and sew this down. So that's the first thing I'm gonna do. Okay, so that's done. Oh, we got a little off there. We'll see how much wiggle room we have to the edge. We have very little wiggle room, especially down here. That's gonna be really tight. Right there. I think I can do it, but it is gonna be really tight. So what I'm gonna do first is I am going to cut another one off of the opposite edge, so we have this, at least one of these sides, two of these sides don't have any of this stuffing in it. So I know I need this a little bit larger to fold over.
Oh, don't let me know. Summer outside, winter indoors. Cats and butterflies around my head. Summer outside, winter indoors.
So now what I'm gonna do is I am going to sew all around the edge of this and sew these in. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do that first, and then I'm gonna flip this over and stitch a second time around and kind of do a squiggle, maybe, on the edge. But first I'm gonna get these in place.
Here we go. Oh, hush, don't let me know. Hulking back thorns, I'm the firstborn. Motherhood, I should, maybe could turn falsehood.
So as you can see, my tension is off on my sewing machine, but I have not fixed it because I've been really enjoying this that's been happening. And that is one of the reasons why I decided I'm going to do this stitch from the outside, so that I would get this unevenness and unusual tension and all these little sporadic wonderfulnesses around on that stitch. And I'm going to do a second stitch from the outside so that I have that same thing going on the inside. So let's first try out the pockets and make sure this is going to work before we do our second stitch. So bear with me here. I'll put you back up. In the holder. There we go. Okay. So let's make sure this is gonna fit. Ooh, it's tight. This is gonna be a little tricky. Oh, barely. So now, you know what I forgot is some kind of tie. But I have an idea for that, so that's okay. See, we have this stuff coming out here. So I kind of wanted to do something a little different for closure. So we'll see. We'll come back to that. I'm not gonna really worry about it because we always can use eyelets or something too if we wanted to. On the back end of this flap, it's not gonna make much difference. But that looks good. As you open it, it lays flat and it can move within there. And now I have an opening page that I can do something with, and a page I like to sign them back here, so before they go to the gallery. So, all right, so let's do that second stitch. That'll also help reinforce this because I can see that's already coming loose there. And so the second stitch, I'm going to stitch from the outside. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start here from the outside so I can know where I need to be cognizant of where our edge is. So I know that I have to go in slightly deeper than this line. So on this side, the left side of this stitch, when I come down here, I need to be on the inside of that, but to strengthen that, and then again down here as well. Okay, so now I've got this really nice raggy stitch and a second one coming all the way around on both sides. All right, so now, and I really like this brown. It reflects some of these pieces in here. Not that that's really going to show that much, but still, I really like it. So let's make sure we can get in to our pockets. And we can. And there, on that one. Okay. So now we got to think about a closure. Do we want a closure or do we just leave it like that? All right, let me show you what my thoughts are. I have some of this elastic banding. And I was hoping, I knew I had teal, but I was hoping it was a little lighter. But we could also use this pink. Although it's really pink, and this really is not a pink. I actually think this would work. So what we need to do is make it into a loop. That is slightly smaller. I have a couple problems with this. I don't have a lot of room in here to put an eyelet. I have, and I worry it's gonna bump up to it when I close it. But if I stitched right there, that would be better. So I'm tempted to use this, but I'm not thrilled. I mean, it does match this kind of greeny teal right there. Guess it could be an accent. The other part I'm not thrilled about is if I do this too tight, it's going to pull on this. So I've been thinking about making a tie for it out of this leftover pieces of this bag that I have. And kind of like sewing it up, making it real. It's pretty durable, but it's not going to be really like fabric. And the other thing is I really didn't want to cover this, but I'm not as concerned about that as I am about whatever I do, not letting it monkey with this edge. So the other thing is I could come in with basically the same sari I used on this. And that would go well with this creamy color. And I'm less worried about, I could sew it here, just one long piece, and then it could be wrapped around and tied. And I have enough room to sew it right on that edge. So that's my thinking. I could sew it.
I see you soon, I see you soon. Where do we go? Oh, hush, don't let me know. Walking back thorns, I'm the firstborn. Motherhood, I should maybe could.
Now I have a stitch right here where it's like two pieces done together. These I have found are very tight, but I could sew it, that piece down to the inside. Oops. And then have it like this. This could go around, and this could tie. Or they could just go around and around. And just let that fall where it may. Kind of like the thought of sewing this piece down. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. Sew this piece down. All right, to do that, I need to take this out. So I just wanted to kind of go through my thought process on this. All right, so I was able to sew it right on that same area. And I got this really fun loose stitch here. So let's get this all put back. Oh yeah, I like that. Because you can really tie it and leave it fairly loose so that it's not pulling on the cover really bad. And it is secure. And the tie's not going to fall off. It's going to be just a part of it. So there we go. I just wanted to show you a different technique for doing a soft paper cover. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Let me know in the comments below.
Summer outside, winter indoors, cats and butterflies around.